Hi everyone, welcome to DILR Solutions for Slot 1 CAT 2025. I'm Amit Panchmatia and I'll be taking you through all the 5 sets of DILR for this slot. Let's start with the first one. The first one talked about a train travel. A train travels from station A to station E, passing through 3 between station B, C, D. So which means there is, in order, there are something like this. There is A, B, C, D and there is E towards the end. Okay. The train has a seating capacity of 200. So the maximum capacity is 200. A ticket may be booked from any station to any other station ahead on the route, but not on any earlier stations. Obviously, if you're booking a ticket from B, you can't book a ticket for A. You can book for C, you can book for D, E, or whatever. Okay. A ticket from one station to another reserves one seat on every intermediate station. That means if you booked a ticket from B to E, suppose, that means you booked a seat for BC, CD, and DE. All 3 you have booked. Okay, that's very, very important. That's what they've explained over here also. The occupancy factor for a segment is the total number of seats reserved in the segment as a percentage of the seating capacity. So seating capacity was 200, which we know. So if it is 50%, that means 100 seats are reserved and so on. And then there is some 6 points given. We'll try and figure out how many are direct, how many are indirect. So the following information is known. Segment CD has an occupancy of 95%. 95% will be 190 seats. Okay. And BC has a higher occupancy factor. So one part at least I definitely know is direct. Exactly 40 tickets were booked from B to C and 30 tickets from B to E, which is direct information. So this is also a direct statement. Among the seats reserved on DE, exactly 4/7 were from stations before C. So DE, when I look at DE, that means anything which is booked from AE or BE or CE and DE, these 4. So they are saying that 70%, not 70%, 4/7 were from station before C. That means this whole thing is a multiple of 7 that I know, and these 2 are 4 parts and these 2 are 3 parts. So not a very direct information, indirect statement. The number of tickets booked from A to C was equal to the number of tickets booked from A to E, and it was higher than BE. So this data given AC equal to AE higher than BE, and BE we knew was 30 over here. So higher than 30. These 2 are higher than 30, but we still don't know complete information. No tickets were booked from A to B, B to D, and D to E. Very, very direct information. 3 stations, no tickets were 0. And the number of tickets for book were all multiples of 10. Great. This also gives us a lot of data. In fact, this the first one where they had said 190 tickets were booked over here and BC was higher than that. So BC can be only 200, no other number. So a lot of direct statements were there. Once you understood how the ticket booking happened, I thought then you could have done this set. So occupancy is a factor for DE. We want to find out that we'll come to know how many tickets were booked from A to E, how many tickets were booked from station C, difference of the number of tickets booked from station C and the number of tickets booked from station to station D, and how many tickets were booked in exactly one segment. So I thought all the 5 questions were closed questions. You could have easily looked at this question and said that they are, once I get all the data, these questions should be doable. Now, let's see how I would have done it. This is the data I've taken, the initial things I've understood. So first I decided to put down what tickets can I book from A. From A I can book AB, AC, AD and A. These are all I can book from A. From B, where can I book? I cannot book BA, but I can book BC, BD and BE. From C I can book CD and CE, and from D I can book DE. Then I decided to go for these zeros first. Which all were zeros? A to B was zeros, B to D was 0 and D to E was 0. So these 3 are directly 0. Okay. 2 of them are directly given. In fact, now 4 of them are directly given. If you notice very carefully, this is 190, we know 95%. This is 200 and 130 and 140. This much was given. So 4 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 missing values, out of which 4 are directly given. So actually, very frankly, after I do this much, I've realized that the set is more direct than indirect. So for example, BE was given 30. BC was given 40. So I already know all tickets starting from B. And then I know CD has 95%. So CD is 190, and BC was, oh, BC had a higher occupancy. No, this is not 190 direct, this is not direct, my bad. So they had said occupancy from CD. CD will be all tickets which can be booked up till CD. These are all direct ones. 40 tickets were booked from B to C. This is direct. So only these two are direct, rest all are not direct. So, but still some data is there. Let's see how will we use this data. So let's look at this part first. CD has an occupancy of 95%. Now what all will CD include? If I book a ticket from A to C, it doesn't go to CD, but A to D goes from CD. A to E also goes from CD. Then B to C will not go from CD. B to E will also go from CD. And then CD will not go from CE, but CE will go from CD. And obviously CD itself will go from CD, my bad. CD will go from CD, and that will be 190. So these 5 ka total is 190 is what is given to us. That will be my equation 1. Then BC was 200. So I'll just erase everything else which I don't need. BC is 200. So what all will BC include? Will AC include BC? Yes, it will include. Will AD include BC? Yes, AE will also include. BC will include. BE will also include. But starting from C will not include. So all these 5, the first 5 over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 5. These 5 will include 200. That means these 5 are 200. Obviously, a lot can come from these two. If I subtract these two, add these two, we'll see what we can do. A lot can come from there. We'll come to that later. Let's go to the next part. Exactly 40 tickets are booked from B to C. So I already know B to C. So here I know B to C and I know BE. And here also I know BE. So these values I already know direct values these are. Okay. What else do I know? Among the seats reserved on segment DE, exactly 4/7 was from C. Now what is DE? Let's understand DE. Anything which ends at E starting from anywhere will include DE. So AE plus BE plus CE plus DE, but DE is 0 out of that. So actually the last 3, AE, BE and CE. Our total is a multiple of 7. So let's take it as 70x. AE plus BE plus CE is 70x. Exactly 4/7 were from before C. That means these two are 4/7 and this is 3/7. That means AE plus BE is 40x and CE is 30x. Till there, let's continue further. Now, what else do we have? The number of tickets booked from A to C was equal to the number of tickets from A to E and it was higher than B to E. So, what data do we have? AC is equal to AE greater than BE and we knew BE was 30. So, these both are greater than 30. Let's take this much and try further. So, now we already know this is 30, BE is 30 and therefore these two are greater than 30. Now, if AE, now look very carefully over here, this was the main thing in the question. AE is greater than 30. Now, whatever it is, and we know BE is not, in fact, BE, so we know is 30. Now, 30 plus something, 30 is greater than, is equal to 40x. So, 30 plus a value which is greater than 30 is equal to 40x. Now, what can x be? Now, x cannot be 1, that is very obvious. X can be 2 because this could be 50 and x can be 2. Can x be 3? X cannot be 3 because nowhere was the total more than 200. If x is 3, this will go more than 200. That is not possible. And hence, x can be exactly 2 only. It can't be 1, otherwise it will be fractions. It can't be 3 because then it exceeds 200. So, x can be only 2. So, once I got x as 2, I get a lot of other values also. I get AE and AE plus BE will become 80, out of which BE is 30. So, AE will become 50, CE will become 60. So, and this whole thing becomes 140. So, we start getting values. So, as I said, CE became 60, 32s are, right? Next what? So, these two I know, 30 and 60, 90. So, AE will become 50, AE 50. We got that much. So, we got these two. Now, if I put all these data over here, I will start getting a lot of other values. Like for example, this itself is 140. So I get these two is 50, right? Now, how did I get AE as 50? Let's check. AE, yeah, AE, so we just said 50. Now, let's go further. How did we get AC as 50? Because AC and AE were equal. So AC also became 50. Okay. Now, let's take these two equations. Okay, these two equations were now going to get you all the others of them. So first I got BC. BC was 40, we already knew. BE we already written. So if you look very carefully in this line, you literally have everything. You have BC, let's just write it down. BC we have, AD we don't have, AC we have, AE and BE we have, AE and BE we have. So from 200, if I subtract everything, I'll get AD. From 200, if I subtract these 4, which I've already got, I'll get AD, which will come out to be 30. So we got AD as 30. Now I put the AD on the top. This much itself was 140. So these two ka total was how much? 50. Out of which I have already got AD is 30. So therefore CD will come out to be 20. So we got all of them, and that's it. Once we got all of them, the questions became very, very straightforward. Occupancy for DE. Now what was DE? DE will be total of AE, BE and CE. This we had got much earlier. Okay. We got 140 and 7. So anyway, remember it was a multiple of 7. So it had to be either 70% or it had to be 35%. So one of the two had to be the answers, and you could have easily worked out with 35%. It was not possible. So this was a very straightforward question. The answer was 70% because 140 out of 200 becomes 70% occupancy. Let's see the next questions. How many tickets were booked from station A to E? A to E we already have tickets booked for 50. This also we got pretty early in the start, and hence the answer is 50. So 2 questions were straightforward. Third one, how many tickets were booked from C? Starting from C, we have only these two, CD and CE, that is 20 plus 60, 80. Yes, 20 we got right at the end, but that's how you could get stuff. Answer is 80. What is the difference between the number of tickets booked to station C, not from C, to C, and the number of tickets booked to station D? So we have to count the ones which end at C and end at D. So AC I will count for C, BC I will count. So these two ka total is 90, 50 plus 40, 90. And the other two which end at D is 30 plus 20, 50. So AC plus BC minus AD plus CD, that is 90 minus 50. 90 minus 50 is 40. That's your answer for this question. Right? Let's go to the next question. How many tickets were booked to travel exactly in one segment, which means consecutive, only AB, BC and so on. So which all will be included? There was no AB, AC, AD, AE will not come. BC will come and CD will come, only these two. So again, answer is 60. BC plus CD is 60. Now, lot of people miss this set because they were not able to figure out what does AE mean. Like AE can include, when you're traveling from AE, it will include AB, BC, CD, AE, all of them. And that is the main part which people missed out in this set. If you had figured that part out, I think the set was not very difficult. So somewhere in between, not a very straightforward set, not a very difficult set, somewhere in between this set was lying. I would put it as level B. Hi, let's have a look at the next set from this section of CAT 2025. So they've told us at Innovative X, there's a company called Innovative X, 6 employees A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F were split into groups of 3 each. So out of the 6 people, we're going to split them into two groups of 3 each. Elite is one group led by manager Cuckoo, and Novice is another group led by manager Lalu. So Elite and Novice, the names kind of tell what it is. Elite means all the good people, Novice are slightly weaker people. At the end of each quarter, Cuckoo and Lalu handed out ratings to all the members in the respective group. In each group, every employee received a distinct rating from 1 to 3. That means there were only 3 people and they got 1, 2 or 3. That means Cuckoo would give a rating of 1 to 3 to his 3 employees. Lalu would give a rating of 1 to 3 to his employees. The score for an employee at the end of the quarter is defined as their cumulative rating from the beginning of the year. So what somebody gets in first quarter, that's okay. But in second quarter, it will be whatever they got in first quarter plus the second quarter, that becomes the score. Okay, so that is called as a score. At the end of each quarter, the employee in Novice with the highest score was promoted to Elite. So if you're in the weaker team and if you get the highest score, you go to Elite team. Okay, and the employee in Elite with the minimum score was demoted to Novice. And if you're in Elite, which is a good team, and you get the lowest score over there, you get demoted to Novice. If there was no tie in a score, the employee with a higher rating in the last, if there was a tie in the score, then the employee with a higher rating in the last quarter was ranked higher. That's okay, that's understandable what they're trying to say. Now there was some 3 plus 2 5 actually 4 points given. Let's just read the points. A, B, C were in elite at the beginning of quarter 1. So in starting, A, B, C were in elite. All of them were in novice at the beginning of quarter 4. That means after quarter 1 there's a transfer, after quarter 2 there's a transfer, and after quarter 3 there's a transfer. So by the beginning of quarter 4, so D, E, F were obviously in novice. So A, B, C get transferred over here, and D, E, F get transferred over here by the, so this is suppose elite and this is novice. So that transfer will happen. Okay, that's the first point. D and F were the only employees who got the same rating across all the quarters. What do they mean by they got the same rating? That means if D got a rating of say 1, then every time D got 1 only, or if D got 2, then every time he got 2, and same goes for Falguni also. It doesn't mean D and F together have the same rating, or between them have the same rating. And there's something told about Lalu's ratings for some quarters. So Bunty received a rating of 1 in quarter 2. Okay, this is Kuku's rating them, this is Lalu's rating them. Now Bunty has got from Lalu, which means Bunty was the first person to be transferred, because Bunty gets of rating 1 in quarter 2. So quarter 2 is the first time after the transfer the ratings will be given. And if that has been given by Bunty to B, then Bunty was the first one to be transferred by Lalu to B, then B was the first person to be transferred. A and D received a rating of 1 and 2 in quarter 3. So by quarter 3, there is D still over there in its position and A has been transferred. So that's pretty interesting. These two data will help me a lot. Let's read the questions to understand the questions. What was Eklavya's score at the end of quarter 2? So end of quarter 2 Eklavya's score, which means I want his quarter 1 score plus quarter 2 score. Okay. How many employees change group more than once belonging to quarter by the beginning of quarter 4? This I thought was the easiest question. If anybody had paid attention and tried this question carefully, now see, A, B, C were here at the start, by the end they are here, and D, E, F were here by the start, at the end they are here, which means total 6 transfers happened. And in every quarter, only maximum 2 transfers can happen, which means there is no person who's got transferred twice. There's no way anybody can get transferred twice. And hence the answer for this question was directly 0. If you got that, you had saved a lot, at least got one question right in a difficult set, I would say. What was Bunty's score at the end of quarter 3? So question 1 and question 2 are more or less similar types. This is for quarter 3. So 3 scores have to be added up. For how many employees can the scores by the end of quarter 3 be determined with certainty? Definitely for Bunty I can determine, because that's a theta question over there. But for how many employees can we know by quarter 3? And which of the following statements is or are necessarily true? So 2 statements about A were given. We need to figure out whether they were true or false. Okay, according to my slightly difficult side, pay attention very carefully to the solution. Now, initially quarter 1, this is ABC, this is the elite team, which is handled by Kuku, and this is the novice team, which is handled by Lalu. This is the start of quarter 1, and then there is by the start of quarter 4, okay, this becomes the elite team, which will be handled by Kaku, and this will be the novice team handled by Lalu. This is what will happen at the end of quarter 3 or start of quarter 4. Okay, so this will remain same. First line will be my elite team and second line will be my novice team. So based on these 2 points, I am going to try and figure out what all data do I definitely have. Bunty received a rating of 1 in quarter 2. That means Bunty was the first person to be transferred. As soon as I know Bunty is the first person to be transferred, I also know that Bunty got a 1 only in first quarter, because only the person who got lowest will get transferred that side. So that is one part. And if Bunty is transferred and we know that no transfer happens back, Bunty remains there, and they've said A and D received ratings of 1 and 2 respectively in quarter 3. So A and D are still there. So D is still there. So D is the last person to be transferred. Okay, D will get transferred, but that will be the last person to get transferred, and A gets transferred second time. So first time I know what will happen is that B will get transferred there, then second time A will get transferred, and third time obviously C will get transferred. So A, B, C order is that B first, then A, and then C. That's very important. Okay, so we can just write that order down over. So here I definitely know it's B, A, C. Okay, do I know anything about transfer back from here to here? Okay, we'll see. Now, let's put down some values which we know. A over here, I know 1, D is 2. So obviously B is 3. Okay. Now, next I also know D is 2 over here. How do I know D is 2? Because D has remained constant throughout. So if D is 2 over here, D is 2 over here also. And in short, D will be 2 even in the second quarter. But we don't know that yet up till now where D is. So we'll just hold on to that. What else do I know? B is 1 over here because without that 1, B will not be the first person to be transferred. So B is 1. Only then B can be transferred. That also I know. Now, so A can be 2 or 3 and C can be 3 or 2. I don't know. Now comes the main part of the set. Who out of E or F is going to the next quarter? Means who gets 1 and who gets 3. Now, because nothing about E and F were taken, lot of people when they started the set, they put a 1, 3 and 3, 1. Yes, I also did that initially when I did it. So let's say if I did that. Now, if E does not get, we know that about, what do we know? That F cannot be 1. Because, okay, F can be 1 over here, sorry, F can be 1. Because F and D, their ratings are constant throughout this. So where will F be? In this case, the F will be here. So if F got a 1 over here, and F has got a 1 over here also, F has got 1 over here also, then how will F get transferred? Think first of all, if F, because F is not over here, that I know, which means F got transferred earlier. And if F was getting only 1 1s, because F is getting the same score, F is getting only 1 1, that means F got 1 over here also, then how did F get transferred earlier than anybody else? Not possible only. Anybody who gets 2 1s will never get transferred earlier, will always get transferred less because he's going from novice to elite. So F cannot be 1. And this was the crux of the set. I'll repeat that part. If F is 1 over here, F will have to be 1 over here also, which means F had to be 1 over here also. Now, which means F didn't get transferred. With 1, he's not getting transferred, right? E would get transferred. So F is 1 over here also. Then how did that transfer happen? It will never happen. And that is the problem. F cannot get 1. And let's erase all this data. So we'll just understand, we understood F is not 1 and F is not 1. So F has to be 3 and therefore E has to be 1. So E came, you're going from, remember you're going from novice to elite. So the highest person will go and from here the lowest person will go. So A, C and F. F will come over here first. We know about A, it is 2, 3, 3, 2. Now we don't know what further. F I know definitely is 3. And here it is B, D, E. D I know is definitely 2. So which all we know definitely, we just write down. So F is 3 definitely, total became 6. This in red what I'm writing is the total. D is 2, total is 4. E was 1. Now pay attention very carefully. E was 1, but next time E does not want to get transferred back because there is no position anybody can get transferred back. Which means in this, and B has to just, not transferred back. E is the first one. B cannot get transferred back. B has got a score of only 1. So if B keeps a very low score this time also, then B will never go back. That's not a bad idea because we don't want B to go back. In fact, this time we want somebody else to go ahead. So let's see. E will get 3 this time over here because there is no longer F over there. E will get 3, so E ka total will become 4. Okay. B will get 1, so B ka total will be 2. So B on a low total will remain here. D also and E also, both are having the same total. But whenever there is a tie, the person with the higher total in that quarter will go. So E will get transferred and therefore E will go now into the first this. So hence what will we have over here? B ka this year B will get 3 because 1, 2. So third has to get 3. That's very obvious. Okay. So total is 5 for B. So B we know towards more or less till the end. We know everything what happened. Now let's go ahead. D we know is 6. That is also not a problem. A we don't know. Here we will have C, E and F. So let's see who gets what in this place to stay there and to come back. Now, pay attention very carefully again because your main rules are that you don't want anybody to get transferred. So here A got transferred. So A got higher than C. A got transferred. So A has to get higher than C. So A will get a 2 over here in this time. Okay. See, we put down all these values. After this, what all we don't know, out of here A has to get transferred. So F became 9, all that is fine. Now If A gets A, I mean A has to get lower. You're going from elite to novice. That's always slightly difficult. And that is why this set was difficult. A gets a 1. A gets a lower than C. So if A gets 1, total will be 3 or 4. And C will get 2. So total will be 4 or 5. So C will be higher than or equal also. Even if it is equal, then still C will stay back because C has got a 2 and A has got a 1. Okay. Now, let's go ahead further. So A will go there. Now, over here, E will get 2 because now C has to go ahead. C wants to go to the next round. So C will get 1. C will get the lower score. C will get 1. And C will be a total of 5 or 6. And A with a 1 over here that was given to us will become 4 or 5. And that's more or less it. But this was not easy at all. In fact, after doing it so many times also, maybe I said a couple of things which are wrong here and there. Please go through it very carefully. Main step was why F is 3 over here. That was the most important step. Besides that, things can still be achieved. Okay, what was Eklavya's score at the end of quarter 2? So Eklavya at the end of quarter 2 can be 4. Total is 4 because they want score. Score was the total of those two. So hence answer is 4. Next one, how many employees change groups more than once? That we said first only, nobody changed. The answer is 0. This was a good question and very easy question, I would say. If you had paid attention to the set, this was a very easy question. What was Bunty's score at the end of quarter 3? Bunty's score at the end of quarter 3 was 5, which was also not very difficult. We had got this way in the start because we knew this over here, we knew this over here. Only the second quarter we had to figure out Bunty's score. Okay. Next one. For how many employees can the scores at the end of quarter 3 be determined with certainty? Difficult question. For 4 of them, E, D, F, B. For 4 of them, we can determine definitely the scores. And hence, answer is 4 for this question. Which of the following statements is or are necessarily true? They're talking about Asha. Now, when you look at Asha got a rating of 2 in quarter 1, we can't be sure. Can be 2 or 3 also. We don't know that. So, this statement is not definitely correct. Asha received a rating of 1 in quarter 2. Yes, definitely true. 1 in quarter 2. That is correct. So, hence only statement 2 is correct. Answer is option 3. Where would I put this set? This would be one of my last or the second last set to do. This is a level C for me. Yes, I would have hoped to get 1 or maybe 2 questions correct if I was slightly smart. But in a test scenario, breaking up a set and getting that 1 question is not very easy. Only if you've been practicing that throughout the year will you get it. Let's have a look at the next set. The next set talks about a round table with 7 chairs on it. So it's an arrangement set with 7 chairs on it, arranged around a circle. The chairs are numbered through 1 to 7 in the clockwise direction. That also has been told to us. 1 is where, 2 is where, and so on. 4 friends, Aslam, Bashir, Chavi, and Davis, that is A, B, C, D, sit on the 4 of the chairs. So 7 chairs, but 4 people only. Okay. So 3 chairs will always be empty. In the starting position, A and C are sitting next to each other, while for B as well as for D, there are empty chairs on either sides of the chairs that they are sitting on. So for B and D, there are empty chairs on both sides, and A and C are sitting next to each other. The friends take turns moving either clockwise or counterclockwise from their chair. Now, this is where it got a little bit difficult. The person who gets to move can move clockwise or anti-clockwise. The friend who has to move in a turn occupies the first empty chair in whichever direction he or she chooses to move. That means if he wants to move clockwise, the first clockwise empty chair, it will keep moving. Even if there are 2 people, 3 people after it, it will keep moving till it sees the first empty clockwise chair, or same thing with the anti-clockwise direction. Okay. Aslam moves first in turn 1. So in turn 1, only A moves. In turn 2, only B moves. Turn 3, only C moves. Turn 4, D moves. While there again, there's a movement of 5, 6, 7 for A, B, C. So can I say A moves 2 times, B moves 2 times, C moves 2 times, but D only moves once. D only moves once, which is in the 4th turn. After that, D does not move. Okay, and 2 points were given to us. The 4 friends occupy adjacent chairs only at the end of turn 2 and 6. So at the end of turn 2 and 6, they are all 4 are adjacent to each other, and that is the only time that they are adjacent to each other. And some direct information, D occupies chair 2 after turn 1 and C occupies chair 4 after turn 5. So D ke bare mein they have told us in fact, if you go through this part, you actually know where all D is sitting throughout the whole 7 turns. C occupies chair 7 after turn 2. Now, pay attention to this very carefully, these two statements, and based on that, we will be doing the main arrangement. So, first question, what is it? What are the number of chairs initially occupied? What is the number of the chair initially occupied by Bashir? This was a very, very, very easy question. Where is Bashir initially there? Okay. Who sits on the chair number 4 at the end of turn 3? So, turn 3, I need to figure out where it is. So, I have to remember my first two questions are turn 1 and turn 3. This is not even turn 1, but the first time initial arrangement. Which of the chairs are occupied at the end of turn 6? There are 4 consecutive chairs we know. Maybe using options, I might be able to eliminate something. And remember, 1, 2, 6, 7 is also actually consecutive because 6, 7, then 1, 2, round it is. So, these are also consecutive before you think that, oh, this is not the answer. Which of the following best describes a friend sitting on chairs adjacent to one occupied by Bashir at the end of turn 7? So, the last question is at turn 7. So, my first two questions are going to be initial part 1 and 3, and the second two questions are 6 and 7. So, again, depending on how comfortable I am with the set, I could have done the first two questions also. So, let's see. These are the chairs. I've just put them in the clockwise direction. Now, let's understand where all can who be and what logic I applied. D occupies chair 2 after turn 1, but D doesn't move only after turn 1. After turn 1, D is not moving. That means D was occupied at chair 2 even in the starting. So, D is over here. And we know next to D are the 2 empty spaces. So, this I'm calling empty. Let's just circle them if you want. Empty are for, that means nobody sitting there. Now, where can B be and where can be C be? Actually, there's one more part. C occupies chair 7 after turn 2. But even C does not move in turn 2. Which means C also was at the starting at chair 7 only. So, C is over here. Now, we know that C, I think they told us A and C are sitting next to each other. Now, on the left side, that is on point number 1, there is no space, that is an empty chair because of the rule with D. So, A will have to come at 6 and B will have to come at 4. Why B will have to come at 4? Because next to B also there are 2 empty spaces. A will have to come at 6. So, these 3 are done, empty, and the rest all sitting. And we already got question number 1. Where is B at the start? Chair number 4. This was, once you understood this point, the usage of this point carefully, first question was very direct. So, already question number 1 is done. Now, question number 2 was, remember, at turn 3. Now, I have done a very different arrangement over here. Instead of making 7 circles, I decided to make a table. And I'm going to try and explain through a table only that this can be done. So, these were the initial positions. Only A is going to move. So, can I say D? Now, remember, D moves only the 4th turn. So, D will not move till here. Okay. And even after the 4th turn, so after turn 5, D is at chair 4, which means D ka movement from 2 is at 4. So, I know everything about D right till the end. Right? Obviously, there were no questions around D because that was a straightforward thing. So, we have used this part and we have used this part. C occupies chair 7 after turn 2. So, we know everything. So, we know C. Now, C is not going to move over here. So, till first 2 points, C will be same. What about B? B will remain same after first turn. So, B, wherever B was at 4, B will remain there. Now, let's talk about A very carefully. A was at 6. Now, this is was. It's going to move from here. So, can I say this point will become empty? Definitely. Now, think logically, A cannot move at 3 because if it goes left, now for A, the left over here is the clockwise direction and right is anti-clockwise. If it goes left, first chair empty is 5, so it would sit there. Okay, sorry. Right, if it moves, then it will be 5, that is from 6 to 5. But see, logically, A can move only to 5 or it goes around and can come to 1. So, whether it goes in the clockwise direction, anti-clockwise direction, only 1 and 5 it can go to. So, it cannot go to 3. So, 3 will definitely be empty, and because A was going to empty chair number 6, 6 will be empty. Now, where can A sit? Can it sit at 1 or can it sit at 5? And obviously, the condition which we have to be careful about is that at the end of turn 2, all of them have to be together. Now, let's take casually, I don't know where it will sit. So, let's try and put A at 5. What happens if A is at 5? So, now who's going to move after this turn? Who's going to move after this turn? B is going to move. Where can B move? B can move if it goes one place it can go to 3 and the other side it can go to 6. If it goes to 3, then also 2, 3, 5 and 7 are not consecutive. If it goes to 6, still 2, 5, 6, 7 are not consecutive, which means A cannot come at 5. That was the important part. And we know A cannot come at 3 and 6. It was already at 6, it cannot come at 3. So A can come only at 1. That was the important part. And now I know A can come at 1. This is how you have to figure out A can come at 1. And now A can come at 1, so the remaining 3 are empty. And by the way, A will remain here till now, the 4th round. But when it moves to the 5th round, we'll see. A will remain here only. And the other 3 are empty. Okay. Now, let's go to the next movement. Next movement is for B. B was at 4. So if you look very carefully, from 4, B can move either to 5 and 3 because both are empty for it. So B can move to 5 or 3. And very frankly, right now, I don't even know where it will move. I'm just going to try randomly because at this turn, in fact, this is much easier because at this turn, they have to get consecutive. So 7, 1 and 2. 7, 1 and 2 are consecutive. From here, if you see 7, 1, 2 are consecutive. So the next chair will have to be 3 only. So B will have to move at 3. And obviously now B will remain here till round 5. And the other 3 will be empty. So we have satisfied this condition that the end of turn 2, all 4 are sitting together. So we got end of turn 2. Now C has to move. Now where all can C move? Now think logically, C is at 7. From 7, if it goes clockwise, 1, 2, 3 are occupied. It can move to 4. Or if it goes anti-clockwise from 7, it can move to 6. So this will definitely become empty. And this will definitely become empty. And now think logically, if it moves to 4, it violates the condition that only at the end of 2 and 6, they are consecutive. So it can't move to 4, which means it will definitely move to only 6. So C will move to 6 and that 6 will continue till the second last round. Okay. And remaining all will become empty. So these all are empty. Now, D, this round ka movement I already knew because D was going to come here. So this round was the easiest. So we have answered already one more question. Third round, there was one question, so that is also answered. 2 questions are answered. The next 2 questions were at round 6 and 7. So now we have finished this. D, we know the movement already. So this was the easiest round. Rest all 3 are empty. Now again, same logic. A has to move and he has to move in such a way that at the end of round 6, they have to be consecutive. So where all can A move? A is at 1. If A is at 1, if it goes clockwise, it can come to 2, which is empty. If it goes anti-clockwise, it can go to 7, which is also empty. So it can move only to 2 or 7. It can move to 2 or 7. So at round 5, this will be empty because A will get up from there. And this will be empty because A cannot reach here. So it will go either to 2 or 7. Now think after this, B has to get up. So if A comes here, and B is definitely getting up from here, there will become a gap. And there is no way they will be consecutive because after this round is round 6. So A cannot come at 2. I'll explain this one more time. If A comes at 2, next round may B will get up. See, think over here. A will be here, DC will be here, B will get up. Wherever B goes after this, 4 of them will not be consecutive because there's a gap between A and D and a C and D. So that means this A was wrong over here. Great. So we know that A can move only to position number 7. A can move to only position number 7. Now once I got A can move to position number 7, 3 are empty. Now A will continue till the end there only and the remaining 3 positions are empty. Now this was very easy. Where will B move? They have to be consecutive. So B will move over here, consecutive, and the remaining 3 will be empty and B will be there till the end. Last case may, only thing which we know, C can move to either this position or this position. Okay, but where we don't know, we don't get it because no other rules were given to us. So C, we know will move to either 1 or 3 and the remaining 2 will be empty. So either this will be C or this will be C. One of them will be C. We don't know. That's your whole table. Let's go and try and answer the questions. It wasn't very easy to get the table, but for the first 2 questions at least, life was easy, I think so. What is the number of chair initially occupied by Bashir? Very, very straightforward question. Bashir initially has chair 4. That's your answer for Bashir. Right? Who sits on the chair number 4 at the end of turn 3? So at the end of turn 3, who's sitting at 4? There's also an option of no one. And actually the answer is no one. No one is sitting there. It's an empty chair. So answer is the fourth option, no one. Next one, which of the chairs are occupied at the end of turn 6? Turn 6 were 4 consecutive chairs. We see those are 4, 5, 6, 7. That will be 4, 5, 6, 7, option number 2. Right? Which of the following best describes a friend sitting on a chair adjacent to the one occupied by Bashir at the end of turn 7? So who's sitting next to Bashir? We don't know which side. They have not said which side. It can be D or E. E is empty chair. So this is not going to be the answer. We know that this is definitely empty. So it can be only D. It can't be C. Lot of people would have marked C and D thinking that C can come here, but C can't come there. So it can be only D, and that is the fourth option. Where would I put this set in terms of level of difficulty? I think it was a difficult set. It was not a very, very straightforward set. 2 questions still can be done. So if you have like, maybe if this is a third set with the graph set first and then one more set which we mentioned second, this can be one of your third sets and maybe you could get 2 questions pretty easily. That's my suggestion. Otherwise, it was not a very, very straightforward set is what I think. Let's have a look at the next set. The next set, I can see 2 graphs over here. I can see something like a spider web over here and a bar graph over here. So first, let's read the data. They said 5 countries engage in trade with each other. Okay. So the 5 countries I can see is US, France, India, Japan and UK over here. They engage in trade with each other. Each country levies import tariff on other countries. So there is import tariffs. That means when you're importing, that will be tariffs there will be. The import tariff levied by country X on Y is calculated by multiplying the corresponding tariff percentage with the total imports. So you multiply the corresponding tariff percentage with the total imports. That will give you the exact import tariffs. Fair enough. That's a regular percentage calculation. So first paragraph is okay. The radar chart, this is calling this as a radar chart, below depicts different import percentages charged by each of the 5 countries on the others. For example, the US with the blue line charges 20, 40, 30 and 30 import tariff percentage on from France, India, Japan and UK. Let's just check one graph properly. So we're going to check the blue line. So the blue line over here, say over here, that is India, is at 40%. The last line is, see, remember the innermost line is 10%, then there is 20, 30, 40, 50. So with India, it is 40%. Is that right? 40% is India. Yes, right. Second one. And what others accordingly will be 24. So this is just reading of this graph. If you have not understood to read this graph, you maybe have to go through a little bit more carefully. Okay. Now let's go ahead further. The bar chart depicts the import tariff levied by each country on other. The bar chart depicts the import tariff levied by each country on other countries. For example, US charges import tariff of 3 billion US. This is not percentage. This is actual. So this is that answer which we should have got by multiplication. So for example, they're saying US charge import tariff of USD 3 billion on UK. So US to UK, whereas UK is what color? Black. So this is 3 billion. So where has this 3 billion come from? This 3 billion has come from the total import tariff by charging 50%. So 3 billion, understand what is 3 billion. For example, 3 billion is actually the import tariff. So how much was the imports can be calculated. So in short, import tariff is the import into the percentage. Now I know this is 3 billion. So, but I can calculate the import if I know the percentage, and all the percentages I know from the graph. So that we can do. Then 3 more points are given which are very standard economics point. So commerce students would not have to read a lot over here, but the science students may want to read a little bit carefully. The trade surplus of a country X with country Y is defined as follows. Trade surplus is exports minus imports. So whatever exports you do minus the imports which you have from that country becomes a trade surplus. If that answer is negative, it is called a trade deficit. And there's also one more point. Assume that import from one country to another country equals the export from the latter to the former. So if I import something, say UK import something to US, it means that US exports that much only from UK, obviously again. So this was the data and the rules given with 2 graphs given. Let's see the questions. There were 4 questions around it. What is Japan's export to India worth? Now question is on export, whereas the whole data was around imports. Well, nothing much to do. You just have to change this to how much is Japan's export to India worth? How much is India's import to Japan worth. That is what we will do. So we will do every question with import in mind. So this question has only one calculation, should be very small. Which of the following is the highest? Two options are with imports, two options are with exports. The exports one will have to convert to import, but there are four calculations to do over here. What is the trade surplus of India with UK? Trade surplus, that means I have to do India with UK import, India with UK export, and then I have to subtract. So two calculations. I'm just counting the number of calculations. I have one calculation over here, four over here, two over here. Among France and UK, who has a trade surplus with US? So again, there are four calculations over here. France with UK two calculations, US two calculations, UK with US two calculations, so totally four calculations. Now that's a call. You have to take 8 plus 2, 10 plus 1, 11 calculations, going through the graph carefully. Would you want to do this set in the exam situation or not? But very frankly, every calculation might maximum take 30 seconds. You just have to read carefully from the graph, and after that it will going to take 30 seconds. So I don't think so. The initial parts of 2.5 minutes plus another 5.5 minutes of solving, this set cannot take more than 8 to 10 minutes. So worth doing the set. What is Japan's export to India worth? So we are saying India to Japan import. So we will look from India to Japan. So in this table also I will look for India, and in that I will look for yellow, that is Japan, that is at 3.5 billion. So 3.5 billion is the total imports, the import tariff. So I want to find the imports now. Okay. So 3.5, if you just, for the first question, I'll show you the calculation slightly longer. 3.5 is the import multiplied by the percentage. Now let's check India with Japan percentage. So India is what color over here? India is green. Now India is green. Where is Japan over here? Over here. 50%. So 3.5 is imports into 50%. 50% is half. Goes on the other side. Import becomes 7. In short, next question onwards, because every time the data is same only, I will directly say imports is 3.5 divided by 50%. 50% is half. So it will become 7 billion. So hence the answer for this question is the first option. I thought was the easiest question, a freebie. Once you understood the table, it was a freebie, just one calculation to be done. As I said, the next question will have 4 calculations, but we will not do all the 4 calculations in detail. Imports by US from France. So same thing we will do. We will go to US and France. France is red color, so it is 6 billion. So option number 1 is 6 divided by the percentage of US, that is blue color, for France. Where is France over here? Here. So where is blue color in France? For France, blue color is the second one. The second will be 20%. This is 10%. So this will be 20%. So 6 divided by 20%. Don't do the calculation. Waste of time. We want to compare. No, so we'll compare at the end. Exports of France to Japan. That means I will have to do Japan to France because I want to do imports. So Japan and same France only. So Japan to France is 3 billion. So this is 3, right? 3 over here. And percentage Japan. Japan is yellow color. And again France only, so yellow is at 30%, right? Yeah, 30%, 10, 20, 30%. So 3 divided by 30%. Clearly 6 divided by 20% is higher, so 3 divided by 30% is lower. So this is not my answer anyways. Third option, imports by France from India. Imports by France from India. So imports it is. So regular we will do France and India. India is what color? Green. So green is 6.5 billion over here. And what is the percentage? France over here is red and India is over here. So red is reaching at 40%. So 6.5 divided by 40. Can you check? This is 6 divided by 20 and this is 6.5 divided by 40. That means the denominator is doubled. Numerator has hardly gone up by 10%. Hardly by 10%. So this is obviously not higher. So this is also out. So third option is also out. I'm comparing it one at a time. Exports by Japan to UK. So I have to do UK to Japan. So I have to go for UK and within that I have to go to Japan. That is yellow color. That is again 6 billion. Great, comparison will be easy. And UK over here is black color and Japan is over here. So black color in over here to Japan is 40%. So 6 divided by 20 is obviously more than 6 divided by 40. So this is also out. Answer is the first option. You had to do 4 calculations. You had to go through them very carefully, but calculations were easy. Next one, trade surplus or trade deficit of India with UK. Now be very careful over here. If I do India with UK, I will get import. So I want to do export minus import. So if you're going with this order, India with UK, you will first get imports, no problem. Let's do that. India with UK. UK is black color. So that is over here. What is that? That is 5. Divide by India over here again. India is green and UK is over here. So green is where over here at 20%, right? Perfect. 5 divided by 20%. Here we will need the calculations also, but I'll do it together only. No worries. We'll see that. Or if you want, you can do it. 20% is 1 by 5. So to go up, it will become 5 by 1. So this will become 25. So export ka answer is 25. Now to get the import ka answer is 25. Now if I need the export ka answer, I'll have to do UK and India. That order. So only that order has to change whenever you're doing exports. UK and India. This was the number, which means that was 3 billion. 3 divided by UK over here is what color? Black color. And where is India? India is over here. I think that's 30%, 10, 20, 30%. Yes, so 3 divided by 30%. 30% is 3 by 10, so 10 by 3. So this answer will come out to be 10. 10 minus 25 will be 10 minus 25 will be negative 15. So negative 15, which means there's a trade deficit. Trade deficit of how much? 15 billion USD, which will be the fourth option, right? Let's have a look at the last question. In this question, they said among France and UK, which or who has or have trade surplus with US. That means I'll have to check France with US, and then I'll have to check for UK with US, and I'll have to check for trade surplus. That means if I'm first checking, say France with US, and if I'm checking for trade surplus, I'm checking export minus import. So how do I go about this? Let's see, what do we look at? So again, first I will look at France. France over here with US has 5.5 billion. It is exactly what we have done in the previous question. Okay, same thing we are doing over here. So this will be 5.5 billion, right? What is the percentage? Let's understand. France is over here, and what is the tariff it is having? France is red color, and on US it is, you can see over here, it is exactly 30%. So that will be 5.5 divided by 30%. Leave this as it is, because anyway I don't have to solve the numbers. I just have to check positive or negative, whether there is trade surplus or there is trade deficit. Now export ke liye what will I do? I will do US. So US for France is 6 billion. So this will be 6 billion divided by how much? Let's check that also properly. That is US. That is US over here is the blue line. Okay, and on France is over here. So this is 20%. Can we check that? So this is 20%. Now, if you do this calculation roughly, basically get rid of the percentage on both sides and get rid of 1 0. So 6 divided by 2 is 3 and 5.5 divided by 3 is roughly 1.8. That means this answer is definitely positive. How much positive? So we are not even worried about. We just want to know whether it is positive or negative. Next, if I now look for UK with US, same way. Okay, export minus import. Suppose I start with UK first. So I'll start with UK. Now UK for US. US is blue color. If you notice this number, this is approximately what? 2.5. So this is 2.5. And what is the percentage? UK is over here, black color. In US, it is charging 20%. So this will be 20%. Right? Now let's check US with UK. That is US is over here. US, UK, black color. That is 3 billion. How much is the percentage it is charging? Now let's check UK. UK is, in this case, US on UK, right? So US on UK. So US is this blue color, and on UK it is charging 30%. Can you check this? This is 30%. So this will be 30%. Again, same logic which I just applied. If I remove the percentage and the 0, 3 divided by 3 will become 1 and 2.5 divided by 2 will become 1.25. So this will be a negative value. That means France has a trade surplus and UK has a trade deficit with US. So answer will be only France, which is the fourth option. Now, with that, we are we come to the end of this set, how would you place this set? Where would I place this? In an exam situation, and that also something like a CAT 25 paper, I would definitely put this at a level A set. It's a straightforward graph. Yes, it will take some time to think what it is about, how to handle exports and imports. And maybe some of you all might prefer making the whole two graphs into a table right at the start. No problem. It can take 2 or 3 minutes to do that. And if you make the whole graph into table, you might save some time later in calculation. So for me, both of them suits, whether you want to convert everything to a table. I just wanted to show it to you how to directly use the graph, and hence maybe from there. But either ways, whatever you're doing, I think it's definitely a level A set. Hi, let's have a look at the next set. This is the last set of this slot. So they've told us A, B, C, D, E played a game in which each is asking a unique question to all the others, and they respond by tapping their feet, either once or twice or thrice. 1 tap means yes, 2 tap means no, and 3 taps means maybe. So this is the initial rules. I've already always said that, there are some sets which have some initial rules. So this part is the initial rule, which I have to tell myself, yes, I understood, there's nothing much to explain. A total of 40 taps were heard across the 5 questions. So total number of taps are 40. Each question received at least 1 yes, 1 no, and 1 maybe. That means minimum 1 plus 2 plus 3. Each question received minimum 6 taps. Okay, that's the first thing you have to tell yourself. Each question received minimum 6 taps. And then there is some data. Let's see how much data of that is direct and how much is indirect. Based on that, we'll decide what we want to do. So Alia tapped a total of 6 times and received 9 taps to her questions. So Alia has tapped 6 times. So 6 can come in different ways. It can come as 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3, 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, and so on, so on. I'm sure there is no 0. Okay, because they've not spoken about 0. She responded yes to the questions asked by Clive and Dilshan. That means Alia, in her 6, has already got 2 1s. Okay, she can get maybe 1 more 1 and then a 3 or 2 2s, we don't know. So this 6 ka breakup. So this is a pretty direct information. I have this 6, I have the 9, and I have what she has given answer to the questions asked by C and D. D and E tapped a total of 11 and 9 times, which is also direct information. And D responded no to Badal. The no is 2. So D has 1, 2. A total of 11 he has given and 1, 2. You will realize that this is also very easy. If you have to get a total of 11 from somewhere, and the only options you have are 1, 2, 3, and you've got only 4 answers to give, because there are 5 people, you will not answer your own question. So you'll answer 4 answers to get 11 and 1, 2. There's only one way. We'll discuss that. So this is also pretty direct. B, D, E received equal number of taps to their respective questions. Now we already know that A has received 9. And we have been told that the other 3 have received equal, and the total was 40. So 1 more was left. Gives me a lot of information. No one responded yes more than twice. Great. Takes me back to the Alia wala point, that Alia already had 2 yeses. That means the 2 others will be no's only, because total 6 is there. It can be only 1, 1, 2, 2 to get a 6. No one's answer to Alia's question matched the answer that Alia gave to that. That means the same numbers. What if Alia gave to B? B cannot give to A, and so on. So this point I would say is an indirect point. This is a good data. That Alia gave to that person's question. That was true also for Ehsan. So for Alia and Ehsan, for both of them, that was true. Clive tapped more times in total than Badal. I'm sure this will be used for that 40. With the 40, we can use it. So from the data which I'm looking at it, I feel there's enough direct data which I can go ahead with. So how many taps did Clive receive for his question? Clive received how many taps for his question? That was the first point. So total number, this is based on the total. Which 2 people tapped an equal number of times in total? So again, this is also out of 40. We don't need to get to individual taps. How much did A give to B or B give to C, and so on. What was Clive's response to Ehsan's question? This is that type where how much did C give to E, and how many yeses were across all the questions. So totally how many times was a yes there. So when I was solving this set, one thing which I realized, that if you've done the set carefully, question number 1 2, and 4, all three come very, very quickly. Only for question 3, you'll have to struggle a little bit. Rest, all the 3 questions come very quickly. Let's see how. So this is the data which I've taken, and this is the table which I'm creating. So obviously A will not answer to A, B will not answer to B, C will not answer to C, D will not answer to D, and E will not answer to E. Total we knew was 40. Let's put down all the direct statements which we have. Alia tapped a total of 6 times. I'm going to go that from here. So how many times has Alia tapped and how many taps did she receive? So Alia tapped a total of 6 times. So this is 6 and received 9 taps. So she's received 9 taps. She responded yes to the questions asked by both Clive and Dilshan. That means these two are 1. And as I explained, because of this statement, we know that the other 2 have to be 2. So Alia has got other 2 as 2. And now if you notice, because of these 2 1s, ka rule, the point number 4, the minimum taps anybody can have is 6. Nobody can go below 6 taps. Alia has tapped 6 times and that is the minimum. Means somebody can again be 6, but nobody can be below 6. That's very clear because we don't have 3 1s ka choices. So we can't have a 4 or a 5. Okay, so point number 1 has been completely used up. I will not need to come back to it. Dilshan and Ehsan tapped a total of 11 and 9 times. So Dilshan has tapped total 11 times, Ehsan 9 times. And they've also told us that Dilshan responded no to Badal. So Dilshan gave a 2 to Badal. Now let's look at Dilshan's total, which is 11. Now, if somebody had done all 3s, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, they can get 12. The next lowest possible is 11, which can be only possible with 3, 3, 3, 2. So can I say Dilshan, the remaining 3 values will have to be 3, right? This is done. So we have used more or less this. Next, they've told us Badal, Dilshan and Ehsan received an equal number of taps to their respective questions. That means this value, and this value is equal. We'll come to that. Not very difficult, but we'll come to that. Okay. No one's answer to Alia's question matched the answer that Alia gave to that person's question. That was also true for Ehsan, but I'll come to that part later. That whatever Alia has, so this point I'm going to use later. Clive tapped more times in total than Badal. Now let's look at the number of taps. 11 plus 9 is 20 plus 6, 26. That means these two are 14. The breakup of 14 cannot be 7, 7 because they have said Clive is more than Badal. Can it be 8, 6 or 9, 5 or whatever? Let's understand it cannot be 9, 5. I already explained to you that minimum was 6. So it cannot be 9, 5. That means B can get minimum 6 and this one can get 8. Okay, so we've got that much. If you notice, we've already got an answer to one question. They said 2 people had the same number of taps. Who were those 2? We've already got the answer as A and B. So somewhere within 5 to 6 minutes in the set, you got the first answer. Now I also need this as one answer. I need Clive's total. Can I get this quickly? Okay, it was a theta question. What are the possibilities? We'll see. Now, if you notice, they've also said somewhere that total of 40 taps was heard across the 5 questions. Each question received at least 1 yes, 1 no and 1 maybe. That means vertically there is minimum 1 yes, 1 no and 1 maybe. Now if you look at Badal, Badal has already got a 2 and 2. That means he'll get a 1, 3 or a 3, 1. That means in one of the places he'll get 1 and the other he'll get 3. So can I say Badal's total will definitely be 8? I did this for Badal because out of Badal, B, D and E, only B had 2 values given and luckily both of them were equal values, 2 and 2. Here also E also had 2 values, but I didn't know which were the other 2 values. So I've got total as 8. So the total over here also becomes 8 and the total over here also becomes 8. 8 3s are 24, 24 plus 9, 33. That means this is 7. We got one more question ka answer. What is Clive's total number of taps he received for his question? That is 7. So 2 questions done. Now the fourth question, which I had said I will do it very quickly. Look at the logic I've applied to it. Something which struck to me also now. Now look at A. A has given total of 9 taps, or A has received a total of 9 taps. Now if she has received 9 taps, she has to have a 1, 2, 3. Now 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. Which means the extra fourth value which A is going to receive is going to be a 3. She will receive 1, 2 somewhere and 2 3s in short. But if I look for B, there will be 2 2s, so the extra will be 2. For Clive, it will be 1, 2, 3 and then the 1 to get a total of 7. For these two also it will be extra 2. Now from here, I can get the answer to my fourth question. How many 1s were there? How? Pay attention very carefully. Every column has to have minimum 1. So there can be there'll be 1 in A, 1 in B, 1 in C, 1 in D and 1 in E. So 5 1s over there. And only Clive's column has an extra 1. So 5 plus 1, 6 1s. So the answer to the fourth question was 6. That means how many people have said yes? So 6 times we've got a yes. Now that was the interesting part of this set, that out of 4 questions, I've already got 3 questions. And the last question was, what is the score Clive gave to Ehsan? Now if you notice, I know that this has to be 1 or 2. Because 2 and 3 and the total is 8 and we know 2 is going to repeat one more time. So Clive's score to Ehsan will be 1 or 2. Very frankly, in an exam situation, after this step to finish the remaining part, it will take time. In an exam situation, I would have left it over here and said, great, I got 3 questions. One is a theta question, 1 or 2, I'm going to mark something out of just pray and mark something and get the answer. Let's try and get that answer right now, first from the other conditions, okay? So I'll just erase a few things which we don't need. So I'll erase these boxes and this 14 which we don't need, so we don't confuse ourselves. I'll in fact erase this 1, 3, 3, 1 also. Okay. So let's try and figure out what all can we get further. Now there was a condition. See, we've used up all the other condition except the condition number 5. Okay, that no one's answer to Alia's question matched the answer that Alia gave to that person's question. That means Alia gave 2 over here to Badal, so Badal cannot give 2 over here. Now Badal has a total of 6. And we already spoke that a total of 6 is possible only in one way, 1, 1, 2, 2. Obviously the order we don't know, but 1, 1, 2, 2. Now we know this cannot be 2 because of that matching thing. Alia has given 2 to Badal, so Badal cannot give 2 to Alia. So this has to be 1. Right? This has to be 1. Now let's look at same with Alia with Clive. Alia has given 1 to Clive. Okay. Now Alia has given 1 to Clive, so Alia cannot give 1 to Clive. So Alia cannot give 1 over here, which means it can give 2 or 3. This can be 2 or 3. Alia cannot give 2 to whatever Ehsan. Alia cannot. So Ehsan will have to get something except 2. Now, can it get a 1? No, because already 1, 1 is gone. And we already spoke in this column. There's going to be an extra 3. And that 2 cannot be over here. So this has to be 3. It cannot be 1. It cannot be 2. So there has to be 3. 2 3s are done. So the next one cannot be 3. So this has to be 2. And hence, this has to be 2. So we got everything for Alia, if you notice properly. 1, 2, 3, 3. Total of 9. This 3 was just for our understanding. You can erase it now. So we got that. Now let's look at same thing with Ehsan. Ehsan has got a 2 over here. Ehsan has got given a 2, or Alia has given a 2 to Ehsan. So Ehsan cannot give 2 to Alia. That we already saw. Now this point and this point is blank. We'll come back to that later. But do you agree it can be only 2 and 1 because of the 6? This can be only 2 or 1. So this can also be only 1 or 2. So we'll get something and we'll realize, in fact, let's finish it off now. No, why waste time? Now, since I know this can be only 1 and 2. Now, column for B can have exactly 2 2s, right? It is exactly 2 2. So it cannot have a 1 more 2 and it cannot have a 3 because this number is not 3. I'll repeat this. Okay. Now, oh, in fact, sorry, that's an error on my part. I'll just change that. This can be a 3. Because this will be a 1, 2, so it cannot be that number, it can be 3 also. So we'll come to that later, yes. So this can be 3, let's leave it over here. What about this? Here also there's a blank. This is a 3, that means there cannot be a 3 over here. Now, there cannot be a 3 in this row for D. There cannot be a 3 over here because wherever the total is 6, there is no 3. That means this is definitely 3. So pretty interesting. This is something like what, somebody was asking me the other day, sir, how will Sudoku help in DILR? This is how it helps. 3 cannot be here, so it has to be here that way. So 3 cannot be here because of this 3. So 3 cannot be here. 3 cannot be here because the total is only 6. So 3 has to be here. And now the other 2 are 2s only. So these 2 are definitely 2s. Because in column D, we have 2 2s. We still want this one. Remember, we haven't got our answer. And once I get that, I will stop solving, or I should ideally stop solving. Okay. Now, let's look at this. This is 1, 3. Now I need a, okay, I'm just going to check whether is there anywhere I've already got 3 things. So I can get the 4th thing directly. In Badal, I have only 2 things. In Clive also I have 2 things. D, I have all. And E, I have only this. Let's check horizontally. Horizontally, B, I have 2 values. C also I have 2 values horizontally. D, I have all. What about E? E, we had said this cannot match over here. So this can be still. Now I need a 9. 3 plus 2 is 5. Now I need 4 more. So I can have 2 2s or 1 3 and 1 1. I'll repeat. I can have 2 2s and 1 3 and 1 1. So now think a little bit. You need a 3 and a 1 over here, because 2 2s is not possible because column B cannot have any more 2s. So I am just going to try on just gut feeling that this is smaller, and here there's already a 3. Yeah, in fact, why gut feeling? I cannot have a 3 over here. Why I cannot have a 3? Because 3 plus 3, 6 plus 1 will already become 7, and there is definitely some number over here. So this cannot be 3, this has to be 1, and this has to be 3. Now everything is over. This has to be 1. 2 plus 1, 3. 3 plus 3, 6. So this has to be 2, and our answer has come. Whatever else I need to finish off, 1 plus 2, 3. Okay, I can do it like this. 1, 3, 4 plus 1, 5. 5 plus 2, 7. So this is 2. So this will have to be 1. We've got everything. As I said, maybe the last part of the question took me 5 minutes extra to get one question. If I was smart and I had got 3 questions directly, then you would not have to do. I would not waste my time in the exam situation. How many taps did Clive receive? Clive received 7. This we got much at the start, and I thought this was a straightforward question. So answer is 7 for this question. Which 2 people tapped an equal number of times in total? So these 2 have tapped equal number of times. That is A and B. A and B is the third option. What was Clive's response to Ehsan's question? Clive's response to Ehsan's question is 2, which is actually, when I say 2, which means it's a no, and therefore answer is the first option. Remember, 1 was yes, 2 was no, and 3 was maybe. So hence 2, that was no. And how many yes responses were received across all? Instead of counting all of them, what was the logic I had told you? Wherever there is 9, that column had a 1 3 extra. They had a 1 2 3. Everybody had a 1 2 3. 9 had 3 extra. This had 2 extra. This had 1 extra. This had 2 extra, and this had 2 extra. That means only one column had a 1 extra. 5 of the columns had 5 ones, and column number C had 1 extra 1. So answer is 6. You can sit and count also. You can see column number A has only 1 1. Here also there is only 1 1. Here there are 2 1s. Here there is 1 1. And here also there is 1 1. And so total there are 6 ones. But I would not do this method. Where will I put this set in an exam situation? This is a set I would like to do. Because when I was reading the set also, there was a lot of direct statements. Okay. If I was able to figure out those 3 questions ka answer quickly, or at least 2 questions ka answer, so definitely you were getting, even if somebody was not able to think of this part, 2 questions you were definitely getting very easily, because they were all about totals and very few internal values were needed for those totals. So according to me, a pretty decent set. It can be one of your first or second starting set. Maybe after the graph wala set, this can be your starting set, and you can think over whichever set you prefer after this.